Hello, friends. Welcome back to this series, the March Mindset series. And so today is a lesson about what I just learned from rollerblading. Okay, so at the time of this recording, I just rollerbladed in my front yard on a Facebook Live yesterday. So you might be listening to this a long time from now, but here's what I want to teach you about this? Well, first of all, it was harder than I imagined. And I am really good at ice skating. I'm good at ice skating. And I feel comfortable on ice skates. I get out there and I can flow and groove and move and do all sorts of cool things. And I feel free. I feel free. I certainly did not feel free on my one little trip down the street and back on my rollerblade. So, what can we learn from this? And whether I'm going to be a rollerblading woman or not, that remains to be seen. We're not talking about that today. We're talking about three main things that you can take away from this, and that I take away from it. Number one, it is all an experiment. Everything's an experiment, my friend. I have that on my wall across from me in a giant pink post-it note that says experiment. And so a lot of what I believe in is that you're not going to know until you actually do the experiment. And so I have this grand idea. I research rollerblades. I join a beginner rollerblading group. I ask my questions and I order some. And I honestly think one of them is a little too small, which means both of them are probably a little too small. And so I experimented by buying them. I experimented by going over to ask some questions in the group. I did some research. I didn't need to do days, weeks, and months of research. I did enough research for me. I mean, if I'm buying a car, that's different, right? If I'm buying a house, that's different than a rollerblade experience. So I want you to really begin to integrate the vibe of experimentation. Everything's an experiment. You're going to do things that you love. You're going to do things that are awkward. And hint, hint, everything's awkward the first time. Everything's awkward the first time. So the second piece of learning from this is it's an adventure. I mentioned that I was going to do this in my mastermind. They think I'm a nut anyway. And so one of my friends suggested that I videotape the whole thing. And of course, I thought that was brilliant. It's frightening, yet brilliant. And so I came into this with a spirit of experimenting and a spirit of adventure. And there's so many lessons that we can learn from that for our business, So what adventures are you going on? What are you willing to try to see if it's the right fit for you? There's things that I did years ago that worked and they don't work anymore. They don't work for me. And maybe that's because I'm different. Maybe that's because the social media era is different. There's a whole lot of reasons. It doesn't matter. And we don't need to go, why, and take us all the way back. It's just reality. I'm a different person at 50 than I was at 40. Of course I am. So if we go into these things with the spirit of adventure, then it takes a lot of pressure off. And so I got out there, we recorded the unboxing, then we paused that or stopped that, and then I welcomed my husband to help me. Hint, hint, welcomed, invited my husband to help me, and he did, thankfully, come out and record me, trying to get these on my feet. And then, well, he did record that, but we cut that. Those are on the secret reel. And then I went cruising down the road and it's all live on my Facebook. Now, this was scary. This was scary for me. And it was, my body is feeling it a little bit today and I barely went anywhere. But I had the spirit of adventure and wanted to bring you into it. Remember, I teach brave. I teach brave. And so doing that and doing it in public was brave for me. I am constantly going to challenge myself and my clients and my future clients to do the next brave thing. One brave at a time is one of the hashtags we use in my programs and groups. It is one brave at a time. And what's brave for me is different than what is brave for you. So the adventure. And then the third lesson from this is you will not be perfect. There is no perfect. The first time I did a YouTube, it was pretty bad. Well, it was the best I knew how to do, right? And that was in 2008. So I've been over here a while, learning, growing, expanding, going, experimenting. I'm doing all these things that I want you to embrace. It won't be perfect. The first time is going to be challenging. I was challenged yesterday, and then afterwards, even more happened. Even more happened. So I'll tell you about that in just a few seconds. But you will not be perfect the first time you do a Facebook Live. Your first webinar might be a flop, right? Your first 5-day challenge, maybe you get 5 people there. We are going to all be uniquely different, be based on our personality types, our Strengths Finder, our Myers-Briggs, our Enneagram, all of those things. Tap into what you do best. Embrace your brilliance. And then the kind of the caveat of what happened afterwards is I did this and I came inside pretty quickly. I took off these skates and putting on the gadgets and the protection devices is quite an ordeal, and I'm not sure if I really want to deal with all that to go to do what I did. Uh, but that remains to be seen. But then I began to have what we call a vulnerability hangover. And you will know that you've experienced these. So I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm watching my video saying all sorts of mean things to myself. I am looking at my body saying horrible things. I am wondering why in the heck I did this. Why did I do this? Why did I do this live? Why did I put this out there? What are they going to think? And I had to calm myself down, walk through all of that, and leave it there. I didn't have to, I chose to leave the video there and let it be what it is. Yeah, let it be exactly what it is. So I don't know what's going to trigger for you a vulnerability hangover. Maybe it's your first Facebook Live. They aren't a big deal to me anymore, but the one rollerblading was. So whatever might trigger you into shame, into vulnerability, remember, you're out there. You're in the arena. You're in the arena, as the famous quote says. So, embracing that, yes, it's going to feel super scary. It's going to feel super scary to send your first email to your list. Whether you have 100 people on there, which guess what? No one starts with 100 people on their list, or if you have 1,000, or if you have 10,000. There's things that we have to build our brave muscle for. Build your brave muscle. So, will I ever rollerblade again? I'm not quite sure. I still have them in my front room. I need to ponder that and maybe give it another go. But again, that one shoe was a little too tight. You don't want to be in pain on your first outing in your rollerblades. So I can't wait to see you again and talk to you again on the next podcast. Remember, I am doing these one per day throughout this entire month. So I will see you again on the next one. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.